It wasn't a secret passage, but it was a secret passage. Let's be real. Yes, Prosecutor Gavin, I'm aware. You found none. The secret passage I'm talking about isn't connected to the hotel. It's tied to the Borscht Ball Club, and the place where the four were held. Which is the Nightingale Hotel. We know Ron Delight couldn't have gone to the mountains. Yet he was supposedly seen just there. We know he couldn't have gotten into the Borscht Ball Club, and yet he did just that. We know, or rather, I have a witness who knows, that there was a large bloodstain in the hotel. The blood likely belonging to Ron Delight. And yet, that bloodstain was never found by the police. Now, somebody could have cleaned it up, but it was still there on the third day, so it's unlikely. What, then, are the things we conclude when we put all this together? But it's crazy. Why is the bloodstain missing? It was never there in the first place. Not at the Nightingale Hotel, at least. What? How does Ron Delight reach the mountains? He doesn't. And yet he's seen at the hotel. Except he couldn't be. Are we about to suggest something mad? The person who saw him couldn't be at the Nightingale Hotel either. We're about to suggest something mad. Simply put, on the first day of their captivity, until shortly before they were found, the captives were not at the Nightingale Hotel, but in the city. What? Instead of Nightingale, the culprit had taken everyone to a completely different building while they slept. It would fix the whole oddity of the logistics of getting all the staff out of the hotel and down the mountain. They just straight up kidnapped. The city is under a severe blizzard, so the outside conditions matched. Once the culprit gave the suggestion of absolute cold, he would have never stepped outside. Now we get to another question. Ron's death. It wasn't entirely clear why his body wasn't found at the Borscht Ball Club, but I think I know now. Convenience. Ron was seen and killed at this fake version of Nightingale. Or that fake version is in fact the building the hideout is connected to. Through its secret passage, the culprit just dragged the body from the hotel to the hideout. This also explains the locked room. It was placed right after the very last clientele left. But Daddy, the passage is sealed! So, it can be unsealed and sealed back. As for the guard manning it, we've already established the culprit can disguise themselves. Who's to say they didn't take the duty over? Who's to say that that guard isn't the culprit? I've been dismissing solutions left and right based on intuition, but there's plenty of other options. Objection! But we found them at the hotel! Objection! That is a hurdle. There's a reason I said they were at the fake location until shortly before they were found. Remember that the storm had begun to ease up by the time it was time for Gumshoe's team to go. The culprit had likely drugged everyone and taken them to the real hotel. They probably calculated in advance and called it all in just before they headed out. There's no way I can allow this. This is reaching unparalleled insanity. I would go through the trouble of making a trick like this. To create an alibi because it's really cool, or they had to. Why'd I pause? Well, obviously, is because it was really cool. Because it's really cool? Come on, man, it's the classic two horse, two houses trick. It's pretty great. Oh, yeah. So, we thought we were here, but we are actually somewhere else trick. Definitely not overplayed. Very creative. Very original. We thought we were in the hotel. We thought we were in a hotel, but we were actually in the middle of a desert. I would not be surprised if there was a fan case that already did this, you know. Fan case? You acknowledge the one-off mention. You acknowledge the one-off mention seriously. Penalty. Let me think about this for a second. Yes, alright. Create an alibi. Do you think of only one reason? The culprit wanted to give themselves an alibi. placing themselves seemingly far off in the mountains. Uh-oh, he's saying one of the people in the hotel is the culprit. Would have never suspected them being involved in the actual heist. Not to mention if they were one of the people who testified during this trial. They would have seemingly been witnesses to a perfect case of impersonation. I see. Therefore, by your logic, one of or both Star and Basil who testified here were the real deal. There's a non-zero chance of it being the case. I'd be careful here, Daddy. Prosecutor Gavin is presenting it like it could have been Miss Star, Miss Basil, or both, but Miss Basil can't be involved. She never would have testified about seeing Mr. Delight at the hotel if she was. More than fair. Star was always my target, for whatever it's worth. It should be easy enough to confirm my theory about the two hotels, at least. As I told you, Detective Gumshoe only needs to go and examine the real place the four were kept in. Go see where the secret passage of the hideout leads, and look for the traces of Ron's blood. In that case, we're back to the age-old question. How was the mask stolen? You seem to have decided to get rid of perfect disguises altogether. Does this mean you no longer believe someone had masqueraded as you? Let's not get too carried away here. Defense's current assertion is that Miss Star is the culprit. She's the Fiend, the thief, and the person who testified on the first day. Miss Basil, however, was impersonated to strengthen the illusion. And so was I, by an accomplice. You're missing my actual point of disguises. The only reason we even discussed them was because there was no other solution. No other physical way to explain two people appearing in different places at the same time. But that you have presented us with one. I don't know if we can take them as seriously. For all I know, the two ladies on the stand could very well been behind the Nightingale incident. In fact, I'm more than willing to go along with it, if that's how you want to play this. It doesn't matter one way or the other. We always return to the only conclusion, that you are the person in this photo, aka the thief. So what, even if someone was pretending to be me, you'll never accept it as the truth? Without evidence or logical basis, not a chance. Fair enough. Maybe it's time to start thinking in a different direction then. If I presume the person in the photo really is me, I immediately bought into the idea that the person must have stolen the mask, but maybe there was another way all along. Honestly, even if this isn't me, it's still worth considering. We've got no new evidence. This still isn't rocket science. You were the only person there. Besides, of course, Fraulein Star. And Fraulein Star has a thing or two she wants to say in her defense. While the prosecution may not exactly care, I won't accept any doubt being thrown my way. This whole double hotel thing is insanity. A sentiment I share. I'm afraid I have some thoughts of my own. Oh? Multiple person testimony? Broken reasoning. We were still in the city. No chance. I checked every part of that hotel. It was identical. There were windows. I would have seen something from the city. Surely. I also need to point out that the illusion would have fallen apart if we'd ever stepped outside. The prosecutor brings up a good point. I couldn't have stolen the mask. That leaves you, the only person in the footage, right? I'm sorry, I don't think I have anything else to add. My memory's blurry on some parts. Oh, that's going to be important. That right there is going to be very important. I guess I've kind of made my own bed here, huh? If I want to counter this logic on the basis you're a suspect anyway, the whole scheme I've outlined pretty much requires at least one innocent person. Otherwise, this whole overcomplicated plot also becomes unnecessary. I'm glad you're finding this to be such an eye-opening experience. Either way, I'm innocent. I'm guessing I can't hope to argue they shouldn't know the details of the crime? Alas, Fraulein Star's connections have already spilled the beans, I believe. I think I'll take it easy for this one. My witnesses seem to have it all under control. You're getting tense. Everything okay? Don't worry about it. Plenty worried all on my own, thanks. I don't need you worrying about me. I'm doing all the worrying about me. I'm doing enough worrying about me for the both of us. to be honest.
Hold it!
I very much doubt you could 100% ensure it's identical. The overall point is that 4 people in general didn't notice a difference in the building. You're telling me the culprit found an abandoned building and perfectly replicated its layout. Would the sheer financial strain be worth it for one measly mask? Depends on the buyer, I guess. See, someone who would go to these extremes would not think like that. There needs to be clear payoff. This ain't it. Of course, you don't have to trust me. Just something to mull over, yeah? Sure. Of course, it's not just the layout that's the problem, is it?
Hold it!
That is indeed a problem. The city is covered in a snowstorm, though. You wouldn't have been able to see anything. But how would the culprit have known it wouldn't ease up when we were there? Furthermore, snowstorm or not, the city still makes noise. What about traffic? Well, let me think on this, I guess. It's a good thought, but it doesn't seem to be holding up. Here's a very good thought, though. That's all I have to say. Miss Basil?
Hold it!
It was a psychological trick. And didn't Jamie step outside at one point? Isn't that where she found Ron's bloodstain? It was a psychological trick. By believing you were on the mountain, you would have believed outside was doomed. But how would the culprit have known it for sure? We checked. Doors weren't locked. Of course, there's also the suggestion we participated in the robbery itself.
Hold it!
Well, you could steal it, you just couldn't get rid of it afterwards. Afterwards. I'm glad we cleared that up. Got anything else to add? It was already proven you had already helped turn the alarm off. Something you can take up with her whenever you find her. The point is, she was an accomplice at the very least. And the culprit, well, I'd say it's a very simple process of elimination, wouldn't you? Take me out of the picture.
Hold it!
I guess this is the main point working against me, huh? If I assume no perfect disguises were involved, for whatever reason, this is me. If I assume perfect disguises were involved, then I'm fully clear. I have no proof for it. The form route is probably more flexible, except I'm still missing someone to steal the mask. I'm glad you're bringing us along for this thought process. No problem. So, I'm just thinking. In a world where I've proven Miss Starr to be the accomplice, is it then possible for someone else to have done it? Certainly a brain teaser, no doubt. She can't possibly steal it after her shift starts. What about... that's it! I know how Miss Starr could have stolen the mask. Or rather, how she helped to steal the mask. Are you gonna accuse Gumshoe again? Interesting. Go on. Let's say for the sake of the argument, the person in the footage is me. Even if we assume that, he is still innocent. Earlier, I suggested that Miss Starr had stolen the mask before I'd arrived. And that, had the mask been missing at the time of my arrival, nobody would have noticed. The counter-reasoning for it at the time was simple enough. The last person on duty before her ensured the mask was still there. However, what if that person was none other than the culprit? They had stolen the mask, and Starr, believing in being an accomplice, testified it was still there. The only other person to arrive, me, would have then been the only suspect. How's that? Reasonable, but it's probably in security footage. So you are not getting out of here that easily. Earlier, you'd said that there was a non-zero chance of this theory of yours being possible. Allow me to inform you, it is in fact a flat zero. What? Sorry, I think it's time to stop the show. The crowd's starting to boo. Putting aside the fact you've answered none of the core points raised in this testimony, let me be clear. Your theory is simply not possible. Where to even begin? I guess this last bit would have to do. The mask was stolen before Star's shift. Why did the alarm not go off? The only person who was captured tampering with it is right here, see? Second, this theory essentially relies on them knowing you'd be the only visitor that night. What if there had been someone else? What if there had been a group of people? What if they had testified they remembered seeing the case empty? It simply won't do, air right. Secondly, very happy to hear you entertaining the possibility that this was you. It was hypothetical. But let's just cut through at the main issue here, shall we? There was no second Nightingale. For one very simple and clean reason. On the third day, nobody went to sleep. What? You heard me. Nobody slept. If somebody had tried drugging them, it clearly failed. Therefore, they could not be moved from the city back to the mountains.
Objection!
Fine, then. The culprit moved them on the second night, then.
Objection!
The culprit could not do that. Forgotten already? The storm only started clearing on the third day. If they were never moved, there cannot be a second Nightingale. And without that, this whole theory falls apart. You knew. You knew this from the start and said nothing. I just like seeing you flounder like... What can I say? I was curious how far you'd take it. Needless to say, you have not disappointed. Especially when you let me circle the discussion back to the main point. Who stole the mask? You've done a fine job of exploring the Nightingale incident. However, the prosecution's stance remains unchanged from the last time. You were working independently from the Fiend, and he from you. The Fiend had disabled the security system because they didn't care if Star was suspected. You just showed up and took it while he was doing it, much to his chagrin. After that, the Fiend played the roles of witness in court in an effort to get information. Namely, information on where you'd hidden the mask. When he couldn't get that, he decided to pull the plug on the operation and called it in. It's as simple as that. We have a witness who saw you with the stolen object after the theft. We have camera footage of you at the museum. Whether or not our Fiend can disguise himself as people is, in your case, irrelevant, as I believe I've shown you were likely working separately. Besides, this would become a kangaroo court the moment we accepted that as reasonable doubt. Especially since, again, Star and Basil have actual facts making it the only option. Likewise, there is no reason to believe Rondelight's death is connected to any of this.
Objection!
We're still in a cross-examination here, right? This whole thing started with his wife visiting me. You're the one who first brought it up anyway. You're the one who said you didn't believe in coincidences. And your reasoning convinced me otherwise, showing me the alternatives to be ludicrous. Much appreciated, right? You've cleared my head. No way. Back at square one? We're actually at square minus one. Those three on the stand were declaring their innocence. This stupid thing never reacted, not even once. Didn't find a single thing to try and latch onto anymore. Damn it, why did I accept this stupid bet? It appeared that, in spite of some major revelations being raised, the defense has failed to change the facts of the case before us. Are we gonna game over because we pressed this statement before the last one? If so, I'm gonna be mad. And those facts are most certainly not in their favor. It would appear that the Angel Star and Lisa Basil visited by this court earlier were imposters. The same, however, cannot necessarily be said for the defendant at the time of the heist, not without coming across some unreasonable actions taken by the masterminds. Given the evidence, the prosecution's case is simply stronger. Give me a break! You guys don't even know where the mask is! We might, once Airride begins cooperating with us. This is a totally circumstantial case, isn't it? Even those can be won, you know. Unbelievable, he's taking out a grudge. Even he probably doesn't fully understand. What's wrong with him? It's a good question. Xavier's been acting weird throughout this entire trial. Understood we had some things unresolved, but he's not just being ruthless. It's like he's actively enjoying it. What, is he replaced by an imposter too? That'd be a hell of a twist. We're crying out loud. It's almost like he's suddenly got a... What? Devil on his shoulder. What did Gavin just say? Nobody went to sleep on the third day. Not just most or some, but a flat out nobody? Doesn't sound right. This isn't right. Now Not compared to what this person is claiming, at least. Jamie? Your Honor, please wait. The defense wishes to hear from one last person before you decide on anything. Jamie Strange. Jamie Strange? But why? You've heard from the other witnesses. We should hear from her side of it. Maybe she saw something at Nightingale that points to the culprit. The real reason, of course, is that she's a liar. Yesterday she showed me everything she'd experienced while at Nightingale. One of the things she'd shown me was how her power worked. The only way she can actually communicate with me is when she's asleep. How then was she able to reach out and tell me what was going on? Well, no comment, I know you're listening. Thoughts, Prosecutor Gavin? I personally see no point to it. Clavier! It seems like we are actually moving on here. We're going to break. Since they just auto-advance after pressing this.
Hold it!
Blurry. I'm not sure what exactly you expect. It's a traumatic experience. If it wasn't, I'm sure I have nothing else to add. I don't want to attack you. I just want you to know we were really at the hotel. That is all. I see. Deck's starting to look a lot more stacked than we thought. As I said, I kind of brought this on myself, I guess. It's an absurd theory with a lot of leaps. Now that I've made it, I need to go back and fill in the gaps for others, I guess. Even if I'm not entirely sure I can actually do it. Am I really on the right track here? Okay, so we're kind of meant to get our plan. However, if it will give the defense peace of mind, I will allow it. It's not like we've got anyone else to call anymore. Very well. Please admit Jamie Strange into the courtroom. Did you lie to me about the extent of your powers? I wouldn't call it a big deal, but if you could have this out-of-body experience whenever, why wouldn't you call for help? Did you lie about more things? Are you the one pushing Clavier to be this aggressive? What's your game here? Are you the mastermind behind this? Answer me. For the one and only time today. Witness, please state your name and occupation for this court. Well, that's... Excuse me? Excuse me? Jamie Strange, artist. Does that count as a real profession, finally? Who? Who is this? I do believe you were just told. This is the fourth captive? This is Jamie Strange? And are you sure there was nobody else? Daddy, what's wrong? Everything is wrong. Do you know who I am? Should I? I don't understand. Sure you do, Phoenix. You've been had. Uh-oh. Took a lot of effort, you know. Actually picturing all those little events in my head before showing them to you. Human mind is very picky, you see. Uh-oh. Oh, boy. She has heel turned on me. Well, now I have the actual Jamie Strange. The fourth hostage of the Nightingale Hotel. His father is the current owner. And... devil on my shoulder. The mastermind of this entire thing, that looks of it, can not only read, but also feed suggestions into people's minds. Yeah, much as I hate to admit it, you are the one. If something feels off, it'll start setting off alarm bells, pronto. Showing you a whole narrative of lies, even if the memories weren't yours. I knew it'd be a challenge, but then again, I've always liked those. It was all lies. As fake as it comes, baby. Honestly, you really need to stop being so trusting of the strange voices in your head. Shame that rock of yours doesn't work against them, isn't it? If it's any consolation, not all of it was a lie. As you can see, I can read minds. I did see a fortune teller. As far as me actually being in the hotel than what they were actually doing there, though. I don't understand. Why would you? Because now, you've lost all your credibility. I don't know if you've noticed, but you've been losing it this entire trial. When I first got you to accuse Gumshoe, I knew I had you. And this two-hotel theory? Mwah, beautiful. You're the culprit. That I am. You masterminded this whole thing to frame me. Guilty as charged. Why? Who the hell are you? My. Haven't you been listening? I'm the Fiend with too many faces. Fiend captures 4 people and places them in a hotel. She orchestrates the bet to make me doubt myself and give me false hope in the trial. She impersonates Angel Star on her night shift. Ron Delight probably impersonates me. Ron is then killed to keep quiet. Maybe there's some sort of argument, I don't know. There was no mistake with the keycard usage. It was always supposed to lead to Star. We were always supposed to find the hotel. I was always supposed to lift my finger in the air and make a fool of myself. If I hadn't, she would have just suddenly had other people push me to it. Neither the theft or the jail sentence aren't really the point here, are they? It's the humiliation that counts. She led me every step of the way. Every question, every time it was time it presents evidence. Damn it. Was my fate really sealed the moment I took that bet? I was probably led along even as early as then, wasn't I? This entire case was a stage, and I was the only one not in on the joke. Speaking of something real funny, even when I wasn't making nice mistakes, the credibility was slowly draining. Right now, its real state is probably... Oh boy, you cheeky bastard. Yeah, it's... We have 1 HP. What on earth am I going to do now? Even now? How can I know for sure that these thoughts are really mine? Keep it together. I am not letting you go to jail over something like this. Trucy. Brought Mr. Strange to the stand, let him testify. There has to be something. Anything. Where did the picture come from, then? Is the picture really... Was Ron ever really in the hotel? Was the blood ever really in the hotel? Or was that just the Fiend playing tricks on us? Is this your belief in me? Or a thought you planted in your head? Is this just going to be a stepping stone to more humiliation? Now the doubt's in his mind, which is exactly what she wants. And so, Mr. Strange, please testify about your time at the hotel. I have no clue where this is going to go now, but let's fucking go. Classic theme. My father owns the Nightingale Hotel. A fact I was, admittedly, not aware of. I woke up with the others on the 21st where we found a record the Fiend had left for us. After that, not much happened. On the night of the 3rd day, the police rescued us. After giving it some thought, I suspect I was to be a fall guy if the scheme ever got discovered. There's still something I don't get. Was the kidnapping really necessary for any part of the plan? Was it really worth the trouble just to humiliate me? Was it never really part of the plan? Was it just there to assist us in making an ass of ourselves? Giving us just enough suggestion to roll out some really batshit insane plan. I actually really like this twist. The hotel was a convenient addition in many ways. Firstly, let me make sure all the key players were out of the way. But more importantly, it would be an important stepping stone for later in the trial. The curious case of impossible witnesses. Title pending. If Angel's involvement got exposed, like it did, I call the thing in, and suddenly there's a double. Police had acted too suspicious on the stand. I call the thing in, and it's obviously not her anymore. The trail led from you to Vera as planned. Revealing the hotel would have made it obvious she was framed. After all, once they find the real Angel, it's clear the culprit didn't need the fake keycards. Of course, had none of those things happened, it meant you made no progress in the case. At which point I would have made sure they never spoke about the event after I released them. You would have gone to jail, and all's well that ends well. Of course, you did amazing. With some help from me, sure, but let's not sell you short. I just needed to trigger one of the death flags, and I would have called it in. After that, I just had to plant some more seeds of doubt in your head. And show you my side of the story. You're insane, and so is your whole plan. What if the storm hadn't cleared up, and the police didn't reach that hotel in time? I checked the weather forecast, thank you very much. And joking aside, what about it? If the storm hadn't cleared, then I wouldn't have called it in. Your trial would have still been happening. Angel would have had to disappear. But it's not like you could have proved yourself innocent, right? As far as I was concerned, it would have been one less piece of entertainment. The goal would have still been reached. After the dust settled and the guests were found, what would have changed? Best case scenario, you get a retrial, and I think we'd have ended up anywhere else but this exact point. I wrote the story, Phoenix. Do you like it? I call it a turnabout with too many faces. You really do live up to that name of yours, don't you?
Hold it!
How did you end up at the hotel? Oh, I got a voucher for it. I didn't remember signing up for anything, but it had my name on it. I called the hotel up, and they said it was real, so I just rolled with it. Wouldn't your father have been able to get you a room? Let's just say he and I aren't speaking in terms at the moment. I see. That explains how you got to the hotel, I guess. How did things go downhill?
Hold it!
Okay, the Fiend left. Vinyl, right? What did it say? That we were to stay there for 4 days, after which we'd be released. The only rule was that we weren't supposed to kill each other. Is that part still true? I have to see you showing some doubt, doubt and all, but it might be too late for that. Thanks, Fiend. So what exactly happened during your captivity?
Hold it!
There's 2 different things I can ask you. The 3 days. Could you tell us about how you spent those 3 days? Well, it wasn't exactly a party. We both just kept to ourselves. You're gonna ask me what everyone was doing. I'm not sure I can help with that either. You're gonna ask me if I saw a stranger walking around. I didn't, no. And to tell the truth, my memory of the whole thing's a bit fuzzy. Fuzzy in what way? Well, you know, it's like I just have memory gaps here and there. Probably because it was a high-stress situation and everything. How severe memory gaps are we talking about here? Is this just grasping at straws, eh, right? What are you intending to prove, exactly? Depends on the witness's answer. It's like, I can remember most of the time there pretty clearly. There are definitely points where I'm just drawing a blank. Like, even when I was there, I'd suddenly find myself in a room once or twice and think, what time is it? What am I doing here again? Now that I'm actually saying it out loud, it's pretty concerning, isn't it? Is it concerning? It kinda is concerning. It is concerning. Memory lapse is actually very concerning when you consider this. Nima sign?
Take that!
Oh dear, what do we have here? Think carefully now. This could be another trap. You were drugging them with pneumocide. Why? You tell me. I mean, since you weren't physically there, supposedly. Was the Desiree that we actually met and made the bet with actually Desiree, or was it the Fiend? It feels like it would have been the Fiend, since you weren't physically there, supposedly. You'd have had to have put it in their food and drinks. And if you'd done that, their brains would be completely fried. They shouldn't remember anything. Let me ask you a question. Make this easier for you. I showed you 3 days of complete and total garbage I made up. and you accepted it as the truth. You accepted it with me telling you ahead of time that it was my point of view. Now imagine if I were to do the same thing, but not disclose that last part. Suppose I construct a story starring you and fed it to your brain. Under normal circumstances, you wouldn't accept it, right? Your brain would reject it on the basis of knowing that your actual memories contradicted. Suppose, however, there were gaps in those memories. Suppose my transmission just filled in those gaps. Suppose I were to do it so efficiently you failed to realize those gaps are ever even existed. It can't be. What would it is? People who got down from that mountain were high as kites on Mnemosyne. The memories they had disappeared the moment they reached the police station. No doubt they were completely dazed and confused. Luckily, there was me, the person who just so happened to be loitering around the station. The person who managed to fill those gaps in and managed to make them whole again. Well, most of them at least. I didn't realize I'd missed a few spots with Vera and Jamie. No, what that means. No testimony from any of them will help you. Not that the other testimonies in this trial were of much help. Remember our friend Desiree? Poor thing's addicted to Mnemosyne. The woman had reached somewhat of a midlife crisis that spiraled out of control. Got to the point where she would take a round, and then take another one before the 6 hours hit. She would find the last 6 hours gone, but the knowledge the next 6 would disappear, too. How sad, don't you think? That is sad. It's thanks to her I could experiment this little trick of mine. Her head got so empty that there was basically nothing left in there. I started filling in the blanks just because I felt so sorry for Ron. Although in this case I've used it fully to my advantage. He literally implanted the idea for the bet in her head. I had a little bit more. Remember that grand theory of yours about her not taking Mnemosyne at the club? She took the real deal, sorry to say, just like you did. Old Olga had nothing to do with it. Remember of seeing me at the Parkview Hotel with the mask? It simply did not happen. And the thing with our friend Lisa and her stranger, I'm afraid. I even did it with you. Remember? It was very early on in this little game of ours. The protective case. Even though I never went to the museum before, I somehow knew the mask was in one. Bingo. Of course, who can really say for sure whether or not that's all I've toyed with? Maybe I've been spiking your grape juice bottle for months. Maybe you never even met Desiree at the club and that was just something I made up. Maybe all of this is just something I'm filling your brain with after the fact. You get it, Phoenix. You can't win this. You control the prosecution, witness statements, and even your emotions. What do you have? Nothing. Mind Reader is controlling the trial. Everyone, I'm innocent, I swear. You're despicable. There's a reason why I'm a fiend, don't you know? Sorry, Phoenix. You played a good game. But the deck was stacked against you. Welcome to the showdown. Is this seriously how it ends? What did I even do to you? Guess it doesn't matter. You're right. There's probably no way out for me. However, I'm a father. No matter what happens, I don't intend to abandon her. You were saying it, right? You think you're a god. Given everything you've shown me today, you may very well be. Can't fight that. But I'm Phoenix Wright, the only guy actually dumb enough to try. Your Honor. Know you're listening. I'm done letting you speak. It's true, I can't seem to get out of these robbery charges. Fine then, I'll find another way to take you down. Everything I can see, there's only one last line of attack I can take here. I don't know. That's not it. Focus, Phoenix. Ron's dead. For all your mind trickery, you still had to physically kill him yourself, didn't you? I could just make it be a point of discussion. Maybe able to bring you out to the stand. It's a long shot, especially since Gavin will fight tooth and nail on this. The only thing the court is interested in right now is the mask. How do I make Ron's murder relevant to the mask's location? Whatever claim I make here will need some kind of indisputable evidence attached to it. And yet I have no new evidence to show. Whatever I do now has to count. It's my last shot. There'll be some way out of this madness. Okay. So our choices here. I know who killed Ron. I have a witness to call. I know who stole the mask. I have unseen evidence to show. Explode! I'll see you all in hell! The end. See you next time. Okay, explode! Alright. I knew who stole the mask. My friends knows who stole the mask. Naturally, with an explanation of how they pulled it off. Have we not suffered enough air rides? Very well, though. Please entertain us for this one last time. Who stole the mask? It's obviously me!
Take that!
I did. I, Phoenix Wright, stole the golden mask. I confess. What? Daddy, no! Stop! It's okay, Trucy. I've been beaten down time and time again in this trial. The culprits burned every part of me. There's nothing left. Which means... time to rise from the ashes. Oh, okay. Yes, it's true. I stole the mask. Walked right into the museum and took it. The reason you haven't been able to find it is because I've given it to this person. Aha! This is how we do it. We admit to it and get them to focus. Since they're focused on finding the mask, we give it to Ron. That's right, Ron the Light. The plan was to sell it to one of its original owner's descendants. Exactly as I remember you speculating at some point, Prosecutor Gavin. I got captured, and somebody killed Ron while I was locked away. Given that you didn't find the mask, and given our last conversation, Ron managed to hide the mask in a place he and I had agreed to beforehand. That's... You admit it. You actually admit it. Hey, what can I say, Your Honor? Times are pretty tough these days, ain't you know? Fair, pray tell, were you and Air Delight intending to hide the mask? I refuse to say. That is, unless this court grants me one favor. I think you've been given plenty of those, but go on. I want to capture my fallen comrade's killer. I have a short list of potential suspects. All I need to do is confirm my suspicions. I want a chance to solve it, right here, right now. If I'm right, the killer is the Fiend with too many faces. Question Ron's involvement all you want, but you can't question the Fiends. They manipulated this court and kidnapped 4 people. Right now, my knowledge is the only thing that will allow you to capture them. So, are you gonna play ball, or lose your precious mask forever? Well, well. November 25th, 1:03 a.m. You're under arrest, pal. Already arrested, pal. And I'm double arresting you. You seriously accused me knowing what you did. That's cause for a triple arrest right there, pal. Yeah, I'm definitely never gonna live this down, am I? How can I help? There's something that's been bothering me. Until this point, I made a massive leap in logic in assuming Olga was involved. With some of the things I've just learned, I don't think she had to be. Which makes me all the more curious as to why she's been missing. Why was Ron's body left at the club? That's another thing I can't figure out. On it. It could be dangerous, so take Gumshoe with you. I'm sorry for accusing you. I'm sorry that I'm lying to the court right now. You're what? It is what it is. Claudio's preparing to present Ron's case. What does he intend to call on? I mean, I don't know that much about it, to be honest with you, pal. I guess even if he did, it wouldn't be anything Trucy hadn't told me already. Witness-wise, the only people to call on would be the gangsters and Silent Sam. Neither of which will be of much help. I've extended the trial, but probably potentially dug myself into a hole here. How could I possibly figure out where Ron was killed? I'm not entirely sure what's going on here either, to be honest. To be even more honest with you. That would make 2 of us. Don't worry, Daddy. We'll figure this out. Most of the things we already have. It's really just a question of how on earth we're supposed to prove it. That was Edgeworth. Edgeworth is in the room. He's gonna kill me, isn't he? Yes, and yes. Edgeworth? Hey, what's up, buddy? Old pal. You know, nothing much. Made dinner, cleaned the apartment up, got this Steel Samurai 3 Director's Cut DVD out, then waited for the person who was supposed to watch it with me. Then, funny thing, I got a phone call. Apparently some idiot had effectively taken a whole trial proceeding hostage. After, of course, confessing to a crime he most certainly did not actually do. What do you know? It's precisely the man I was waiting for. Small world, isn't it right? I'll go do that thing you asked me to do. Yeah, what'd she say? Don't leave me. I'm gonna die. Hey, you! Sweetie, honey! You told me you had this under control. I did? Probably during the memory lapse. I mean, you know, things kinda sorta got out of hand, but... How out of hand? The culprit is literally able to read minds and implant ideas in other people's heads. Oh, I suppose this explains this voice in my head clearly pretending to be my own. Right, I want to be very clear about this. I had to pull a lot of strings to get this copy of Steel Samurai 3 Director's Cut out. I had to readjust my entire week's schedule to ensure I am free for tonight. And I am not postponing it for another day. Especially not for some mind-reading ruffian. You will watch this DVD with me tonight, right? I'm doing the best I can here, I swear. I'll figure this out. Won't do a thing, right? Not without me making sure things get resolved in a timely fashion. Huh? Your nemesis has all but ruined my night, right? I will make them pay. Did I mention the whole scheme was designed to set me up specifically? Then they will pay doubly. A very pissed off Edgeworth has joined your Alrighty then. Court is now in session for the trial of Phoenix Wright. Before recess, Mr. Wright had fully confessed not only to the crime, that his co-conspirator Ron Delight was in possession of the stolen mask. As a result of Mr. Wright's demands, the court has agreed to examine the death of Mr. Delight. However, as far as I'm concerned, the case itself is extremely clear.
Objection!
Your Honor, Mr. Wright retracts his confession. No, Mr. Edgeworth, what are you doing? And furthermore, the personal attacks the prosecution has been directing are to be noted on record. They were severe enough to drive my client to an emotional breaking point. Oh? Your client? It is extremely plain to see that he was not in control of his faculties. Oh shit, what is this? The supposed connection between him and Mr. Delight can be very easily been shown as non-existent. Though I believe you yourself are likely aware of that fact already. Chief Prosecutor, just what do you think you're doing, if I may ask? Shaking my head in disappointment over my office's drop in standards. I don't know what personal grudge has led to this point, Prosecutor Gavin, but the fact that any sane person would look at the state of this case and honestly believe there's no clear connection between the individual crimes that surround it baffles me. There's a line between acknowledging coincidence and ignorance. You have chosen the latter so firmly that you don't even know the line exists anymore. I am sure the record will show the attacks being directed against me, Air Judge. I assure you, I have only done my job here, Chief Prosecutor. If you honestly believe the man next to me would rob a museum, then no, you haven't. Especially given the complete lack of decisive evidence on your part. Do you have the mask? You do not. Do you have a single witness to show Mr. Wright used his connections of his to get the details of the museum security? You do not. Do you have a single shred of evidence to confirm that the person on camera and this fake angel star worked independently? You do not. Oh, we are recharging our health bar. 3 days and you have nothing conclusive to show for it. We're at half health now, and what little evidence you do have, laughable, quite frankly. Mr. Light's testimony. Someone who supposedly can't even admit to meeting my client earlier in the night. Who just happened to see my client with the mask at the exact right time. Whose husband, who according to you, has nothing to do with any of this. Yep, our health is recharging. Thank you, Based Edgeworth. Was found dead at my client's workplace. No, Mr. Gavin, I think it's safe to say you have not done your job. And if there's a voice in the back of your head telling you otherwise, I suggest you tune it out. I am the chief, and right now I am the voice of your conscience. Understood? Fear not. We will set this right, here and now. You have made the preparations to outline the case of Ron Delight's murder for us, correct? Naturally. Straighten up at once. You may yet be redeemed. Rest assured, Mr. Wright is equally responsible for the state of this case this case has ended up in. Now then, show me your resolve. And or no, you're not washed up yet, surely. No, I'm not. This concert isn't over yet. Now, Judge, we are prepared to take a further look into Air Delight's death. Air Wright's retracted confession aside, the prosecution does see merit in investigating it. It is only, of course, as a matter of thoroughness. Does the prosecution still firmly see Air Wright as the singular suspect? Well, the defense disagrees. Good lord, is it the level of competence you've been presenting up until now? What do you expect me to say? You're exerting too much power. My, you really have gotten rusty at your old age. I see some level of agreement has been reached here. In that case, this court will accept Mr. Wright's retraction. Prosecutor Gavin, please present us with the details of Mr. Delight's death. Final boss time? Next video. Until then. Holy shit, this is mental.